Hey there, welcome to the table, the virtual table. We have before us a fairly new game called, I'm going to call it Ixion. I have no idea how to pronounce it. I mean, if you're from Mexico, this would be Ixion, or Ixion. Yeah, it would have the CH sound. If you're from China, it'd be Ixion, you know, like that. I have no idea. So you tell me, whatever you think it's. I've seen YouTubers call it Ixion, which I think is probably the worst of all the ways of calling it. I'm going to turn down the music volume a bit. Okay. It's a bizarre game. Let me just put it that way. The best way I could describe it right now is this is, for those of you from my board gaming community, this is ISS Vanguard in space. It really is. I don't want to spoil the story. I've not made it very far. There's this, you do this thing called jumps. And it's sort of like Battlestar Galactica jumps, but it's a little different. I've played the part before you do the jump, and then after you do the jump, there's a really long sequence of missions before you do your next jump, and that's all the further I've ever played. So I haven't gone very far into the game at all. So if you're looking for expert playthrough, you're not getting that here. You're just gonna get a raw playthrough of what I consider to be a pretty fun game, but it's so much different than anything else I've played. It's hard to describe. So let's just stop describing it. Let's just play. And the cut sequences are awesome, so I'm going to hush up and let you watch. And drink some coffee.
Launch control, we have Tycoon clearance for shuttle launch. Initiate Stanford protocol.
Clear procedures, check. Guidance go.
EA algorithm online.
Batista safety protocol, check.
Launch control to EMB Charon. All systems are go.
Launch is imminent. Personnel are instructed to evacuate the launch pad. PBS Tycoon to EMD Share. You have clearance for final approach. EMD Share. You have been assigned to Tycoon Docking Bay. Welcome on board, passengers. Shuttle EMV Sharon is now docked. Sector 1 empowered and pressurized. Munchie decontamination protocol online. Disembarkation authorized. Message to crew members. Welcome on board the Tycoon, property of Dolus Aerospace Engineering Corporation. You will soon be given your assignments, but until then, please continue to wait near the docking bay. We hope you have a productive voyage, and would like to thank you for your contribution towards humanity's future. Administrator, I am Eden, the personal assistant installed on board the Tycoon. In accordance with the Munchie Protocol, I have been designed to take into consideration your complete psychological profile so that I may more accurately respond to any needs you may have. My primary purpose is to ensure the Tycoon's automated systems function efficiently. I will keep track of the tasks that are necessary for you to fulfill your prerogative of reaching Proxima Centauri and carrying out field research, mining operations, manufacturing protocols, and Dolos colonization tests.
So it goes on quite a bit.
Administrator, I wanted to introduce you to
Yes,
your
this
first
guy's
task
eating
personally.
while he's talking to us.
I'm Dolos' cryonics lead, Marduk council member Giovanni Battista. So, let's see. Your first objective will be to begin setting up essential infrastructure aboard the Tycoon, meeting the environmental conditions that are required to support your crew. Having laid these foundations, you will then oversee the installation of the Vol engine and perform a short test jump to Proxima Centauri. Upon arrival, your research teams will carry out a brief survey of local space, gather a few rock and coal dust samples, fire up the colonization protocol, begin building the foundations for mankind's future, yada yada yada. And then you'll come back. Now, in order to achieve this, you'll need to familiarize yourself with the Tycoon's core functions. It's no big deal. There's the production, stockpiling and distribution of resources, construction, balancing of power output with allocation. Oh, and space exploration, you know, setting out expeditions and all that. Basically, everything needed to establish scientific advancement and harmonious autonomy on board that Eden's gonna display and keep track of your main objectives. Oh, and Administrator, don't let the position go to your head. Veneer has insisted to center Dolos' focus on the Tycoon, but this mission is just in preparation for our next project.
They're a little long-winded.
Protagoras. The Marduk Council worked damn hard
Like,
to pull
just
this
doesn't
mission
stop.
together ahead of schedule.
You're like, I
so
wanna play.
toe the line,
Come on, dude.
do as you're told, and bring the Tycoon back in one piece. Leave the grand gestures and saving of mankind from ecosystem. One last word of advice. We don't all think like Veneer Dolos. As of yet, no human law has been officially
Okay, so this guy's your classic, there are no laws, so we can do what we want. I'm gonna pause it real quick before the next person gets long-winded on us. So the interface to this game is both straightforward, but not, like, it takes a while to learn it though at the same time. Once you learn it, it's not bad at all. It's just, I don't know, for me, I really struggled with it at first. And I don't know about you, but the music is still pretty loud for me. So I'm just going to turn it down a little bit. Okay, so the tutorials are done through these tabs and system. There is no tutorial to this game. They throw you into the wolves. This initial stage is very forgiving, but if you go onto like the Steam forums, there's two prevailing sets of feedback. Well, three. I mean, there's people who love the game. I'm falling into that category. I think this is a fantastic game. others are like, for example, you got all these people walking around here on this road, and like that bothers them because they're aimlessly walking around. It's just meant to show that they're busy doing things. I don't know why why humanity sucks so much. That's something you would complain about, but there's people complaining about that. But the third one, which is an extremely legitimate complaint, however, it's a complicated issue. When we go to what everybody's referring to as Mission 2, and that's after we do our jump. So if you heard what the guy said, is we got this new engine that lets us do a jump. And we're going to test it. So we're going to jump out to Proxima Centauri, deploy some colonization protocols, and then jump back. It's just a test run. And so after you do that first jump, they were talking about how extremely difficult this game gets. And I will confess to you, it is very difficult. But once you learn the game, and remember I was telling you that learning how to play this game and what all these symbols mean, like it takes a while. That's what I'm getting at, is that that difficulty after you jump is actually not that difficult, but you have to understand some things really well. And when you're first playing this game, you don't. So hopefully with this playthrough, I'll help you to understand some things really well, so that way that first shock of how hard this game is won't be so hard for you. This is technically my 4th try of doing this jump. The first 2 times I failed miserably. Like I literally lost the game. And I decided, you know what, I need to start over. So the 3rd try worked. And I was actually to the point where I could jump again, which is, I guess you would call that mission 3 in this case. But that's when I decided to stop and do this recording, because I actually think I could have done better, because there's efficiency in this game, and there's ways you could be inefficient at the same time as other ways you could be efficient, and I just felt like I could do it a little bit more efficiently. Okay, so I know I'm speaking so nebulously about things in the future, but just understand that there is legitimate feedback about this being really, really difficult, and it is. But if you understand these basic concepts I'm going to show you, it won't be. How about that? All right. So this initial part is not helping you with the difficult that's coming. But what you got here is we are in Sector 1. The Tycoon, spelled weirdly, it consists of 6 sectors. So you can see we have Sector 1 unlocked. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first thing to understand is in order to unlock Sector 2 or Sector 6, you need to have roads that go into these doors. See that little doorway right there? There's one there, there's one there, and there's one here, and if I hit the E button, you'll see there's one there. You only need the roads to go into one of them to go to that side. So for example, if I click on this, Sector 2 is inactive. Eventually this will become an option where I can unlock this. And you need like resources and blah blah blah. One of the first things that I will tell you that will prepare you for dealing with the difficulty of the next mission is don't do that. Don't unlock Sector 2 until you're good and ready. And I'll help explain what good and ready means, but when you get the mission to do it, you're not good and ready. Let's just put it that way. And if you follow the mission, and when I say mission, I mean the quest, right? If you get the quest to do it, and then you go and unlock it, you make your life so much more difficult when you unlock that thing before you're good and ready. And it is a legitimate gripe against the game as far as I'm concerned, because if they're giving you a quest to go unlock it, it's just making your life harder. It's not making it easier. And I think the timing of the quest could be a little better. Alright, we are not going to be unlocking this at all until after we jump. So let's just make that clear. I'm just showing you, like, when you're planning what you're going to do with this sector, understand that you have to have a road that goes to one of these locations. And the game doesn't care if you unlock Sector 2 or if you unlock Sector 6. Like, you can go either way. But just understand that if you want to unlock Sector 6, you got to have a road going here or down there. And the reason I say this is because you're going to be building buildings here. And for example, we have to build a workshop. Well, you can just block the road. See that? You can just completely block it. And then that makes your life more difficult later, because now you're going to have to come back and redo it. Let me hit escape. Now, it was showing little arrows here. Are these potential roads? That could be true. These could potentially be roads that connect to the next sector. I was using this here, because see how there's an actual door? I don't know what is possible here. This could possibly be... and like I said, you only need one single road to go to the next sector. You don't need all of them. So you could block as, the other ones. And apparently I block these all the time because I don't know the answer. But that's okay. Just, as we focus... Now, if you have more than one road open... here's the next thing. We have to build a workshop. So there's an internal construction. The plus sign means we discovered new buildings we can build. And this is the workshop. The first one is free. As you can see, it will consume 2 power and it requires 4 workers. We're going to get into some of that in a second. But in the beginning, of course, we have to have this. Once we produce this workshop, it's going to give us 2 types of construction worker equipment thingies. One will let us lay roads, and it'll do final touches to buildings, and the other one will be these little machines that go out and collect resources and drop off resources. Those little machines that collect and drop off resources actually take these roads to go into the other sectors. I know you don't need to know any of that right now, but just to help you for your planning, the more roads you have going into other sectors, the shorter the pathway. You literally have to wait for these little machines to drive from one end to the other. So if I have, for example, this is the alloy resources here. If I have alloy resources stored at this location, but they're used at this location, you literally have to wait for these little vehicles to drive here, pick them up, and then drive over there to drop them off. So if you think efficiently, maybe you want your alloy storage to be near wherever's using the alloy. Okay? It's not the end of the world if you don't. I'm just helping you with your planning, because there's a million ways to do what we're going to do next. And the efficiency of laying out your sector is up to you, which is part of the fun. Okay, so I have been dabbling with, what do I do with this corner? What do I do with... it's really quite a challenge. And like I said, don't judge, because what I'm going to show you is probably not efficient at all. It's more efficient than the first 3 times I played it, but it's definitely not going to, like one of you might be looking at it and you'll be like, what? Again, it's not the end of the world. It's just, you could really be a perfectionist with this game if you wanted to be. All right. Let's talk about some basic concepts. Some of them are not going to impact us immediately, but will in the future, and I'll try to help you out with those. Okay, starting with the top left, this is basically your quests. Most of them do not have a timer. Some of them might, and yeah, some of them actually do. And so be mindful of those. The ones that don't have a timer, you really can take your time and turtle. This game, turtling in this game is actually a good thing, most of the time. Okay, you got your resources. So we could actually shut this off, which I've never done before. And then you can hold the Alt key to bring those up. I actually like just seeing them on the board, so... okay, so you got your resources going across. If I hover over the iron, it shows you that the iron is actually used to supply, from 2 places, and then we can consume them in a 3rd place. The only gripe I have is that I can't scroll down to see what those places are. You see, like I wanted to know what that building was, right? I can't do that. But it tells you at the very bottom, iron can be found in asteroids. Once mined, it is transformed by a steel mill, which neither of those we're going to be able to do right now. But iron makes alloys. So if you understand that, carbon makes polymers, silicon makes electronics, hydrogen is its own thing, waste is its own thing, ice will help you make food. And the concept here is not that ice turns into food, it's that you use the water to make your food grow. That's the idea. You have ways of making food without water, but you can use water to make food more abundant. And then cryonic pods will come after we jump, and science is science. Now, some people get really thrown off by how science works in this game. I'll help you with that as well. This is your power bar, so we have 60 power, and as you know, like if I construct this building, you can see here that it, like if you look right there, it's going to consume 2 power. So every time you build something, it's consuming more and more power. Our sector battery, we don't have a sector battery at this point, but if you did, it would actually start charging up. And sector batteries are, it provides power while your power is being, like, so like if we ever go over 60 power, the sector battery could actually supply power for a while until you solve your situation. And there's times where when we're moving the Tycoon, the big, this is the Tycoon, by the way, this thing. When we move this from one place in space to another, all the power gets diverted towards its thrusters. And when that happens, your buildings all shut down during that time. And if you have battery power, your buildings can run off of battery power while that's occurring. We don't have batteries yet, so there's nothing we can do, but I'm just helping you with, you know, the concept. The hull integrity right now is perfect. If we needed to repair the hull, we don't even have the building built that allows us to do that, but there is ways for your hull to take damage, and then of course you're going to have to repair it, and then it will take alloys to do that. And then this is the trust that your people have in you. This is important. If they start losing trust in you, they do start to mutiny, and it's really funny because, you know, it leads to you losing the mission because everybody dies. Like, they do stupid things if they don't trust you. So you do need to have trust from your people. That trust is not very high at the moment, but at the beginning of the game, it's not a concern. It's after you do your jump is when this becomes a big factor. Okay, we talked about the sectors. I already told you about the battery thing. So this little, this symbol's here. See how it has 1, 2, 3, 4 bars that represented here, right? So these little mini bars that say sector battery power, it's between the yellow bar and the red bar. This little bar in the middle, those are represented here. So if I fill up this first bar with battery power, you'll see the first bar here fill up, and so forth. So if this thing is fully charged with 5 bars, then you'll see 5 bars of energy here. And then it's just a glance so you can see all of your sectors at once, and how well are they powered up, you know, etc., etc. Okay, so like I said, we only have one sector right now, so to worry about. This is the power consumption we already talked about. And again, they're displaying the batteries. Batteries are important. They display it in 3 places here. And this is our water level, which right now we have 0. And you can see it's used for food production and etc. Okay, this area here is very important when you do your jump. The first thing is, this is your overall population. We have 85 population, and all 85 of them are workers. Sometimes you can have non-worker population, and it tells you that they consume 9 food every food cycle, or meal cycle. Now, a cycle, this is your timer, and we are currently on what's called cycle 3, and it's 1 revolution of the station is basically what defines a cycle. We're on cycle 3, and this thing will fill up just like a clock. And then when it gets to the top, we move to cycle 4, etc., etc. So there are certain points in this, like so many cycles, and you'll start to have meals. And those meals means that they're going to consume 9 food. So you can pretty much calculate how much food you need and how quickly it's going to get consumed from this and this over here. Now, you don't see the meal cycle thing come up because the game hasn't thrown everything at us yet. It'll come very soon. The happy thing is really the calculations behind this. So you can see right now we have 53% current trust. If you go over happy, you can see that we have plus 10 because we have the Dolos buff. We're the Dolos Corporation. Our hull integrity is high, so we get plus 1. So everybody's happy. We don't have a place for the crew members to sleep and rest, so we have a 0 there. As we build housing for them, that'll get better. Then the conditions optimal. This is the number one thing people don't understand with this game, is if you allow this condition to become less than optimal, then machines start to break and accidents happen. Now, they still happen while you're optimal, but if you get it like where I think it goes down to working extra hours, and then I don't remember what the different stages are. But if you let this get less than optimal, accidents occur so much that you actually lose the game. You lose control of the game. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill, and you can't catch it anymore. You're running after it, and you just can't catch it. These conditions, keep them at optimal at all times. Don't let it drop below. How do you keep them at optimal? It's very simple. You can see there it says 12 workers are required. You just need to have 12. We have 85 right now. So we have more workers than needed. Suboptimal conditions are just, if it says it needs 12 workers and you only had 10, then in order for all the machines to run, you would have to, make them work extra hours, and that's what we call suboptimal. And making them work extra hours is what causes the accidents. Now, the designers said they were going to release a patch today to reduce the number of accidents that occur. I sort of welcome it because it is insane how crazy the accidents start happening when you lose your optimal status. And even at optimal, the accidents still happen. It's just they're not as frequent, and you can at least handle it. So trust me, this optimal thing, it's a thing that the tutorials don't explain very well. In fact, they're not explained at all right now. Well, you got like this. I mean, that's all it tells you. It doesn't tell you that, Now, there will be more tutorials that will eventually pop up, and I think it explains it more there. But take my word for it, this is extremely important, and most people who are posting on the Steam and giving reviews don't understand this mechanic. They just literally don't. Like, you read what they're saying, and you're like, you guys don't understand what you're doing. So, keep everything optimal. That's the next thing. And it's as simple as, you see that number 12? You need to have the second number larger than the first number, equal to or larger. So we need 12 workers. We must have at least 12. Right now we have 85. That's all you got to do. Okay? It's not a, like, sometimes that's challenging, but that's all you have to do to keep it optimal. All right. I know I really talked that one to death, but it is one of the number one things that causes people to lose after you jump, and it caused me to lose. That's why I'm speaking from experience. All right. Lastly, we got these things on the bottom. Some of these will unlock as we get further into the game. Like, for example, we don't have a tech lab, so we can't look at the tech tree. There is population management. You will do nothing with this at the moment, but as you open up new sectors, you can say, hey, I want to move 40 crew from this sector to that one. So it's how you move crew from one sector to another. Resource management is similar. It's going to allow you to remove resources. Like, this is alloy here, right? If I have a bunch of alloy in Sector 1, I can move it to Sector 2, Sector 3, so forth. This lets you manage your fleet, which we don't have yet. And then, of course, this lets you build your buildings, which I've already talked about. Lastly, you got 3 different views. We are looking at the sector view. There is the tycoon view, which is this, and you can rotate around. It's pretty cool. Very, very cool. And then there's the planetary view, which is this. And this is an extremely important view. This is also a view that players on Steam who review the game negatively screw up. Like, they don't realize that there's stuff to do here. And they're only playing the game here and wondering why it's not going well for them. But we'll get into that in a second. We got to build our tech lab before I can tell you about the feedback that everybody's screwing up. And I don't mean everybody, I just mean some of the negative reviewers that I'm reading about. Okay, so what do we need to do? Well, we have a docking bay that's already built for us, which is very important because this thing will eventually show us that we can build a docking bay. And like a goober, I built another one. And you don't need two, you just need one. It'll last you for quite a while. In that docking bay, it has an ability to store units of goods, I think 300. And you have the ability to build ships, which we need to do. So for example, I want to build a science ship first, and then a cargo ship, and we'll build a mining ship last. Now, could you have built 3 science ships? Yes, but you need one of each. At least in the beginning. If you want to get fancy and have more than one science ship and stuff, you would have to build a second docking bay, which I don't recommend that you do. I think you don't have enough room for it, to be honest. Plus, it takes a lot of power and people. Okay, now, I said I wanted to build these things, but they're not going to actually be built. And the reason is, the science ship needs polymers, which are these little gear-looking things. We don't have any polymers. And it says 0 out of 25. Our workers will try to go pick up some polymers, but they're here. We have to go get the polymers out of this box. So, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves by trying to build these. They're just impossible to build at the moment. But I at least have them in the queue. That's all I did. I just put them in the queue. So first thing we got to do is build our workshop. Now our workshop, as you can see, is here. See the little yellow triangles? If I put those yellow triangles up against the road, it turns green. You just need the yellow triangles to touch a road for the building to be active. You can press the R button for rotate. Literally the letter R, and then you can rotate it around so those yellow arrows are pointing up. This workstation, I apologize, I need to cough. Okay, video back on. Alright. I don't think the location of your workstation matters. The biggest thing is you don't want to like you could put it here in the middle, but that could theoretically screw up your ability to build bigger buildings. So, like, my temptation has always been to jam it in the corner. And I still think that's not the worst idea in the world. So I'm going to go ahead and put it here. But as you can see, I'm at the risk of blocking that doorway, which I'm okay with. Now, one of the mistakes... Well, I didn't really make a mistake, but I need to have a road connecting it to my main area. And so this workstation has this little dude. See this guy? He's walking around and he's making the road. And I'm going to go ahead and pause it again. And then we have the next thing we need to do is we need to build a stockpile, which you can see here is also free. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate this around and just put it opposite him, like that. And then the stockpile has to be for a certain type of resource. So I'm going to make it for the alloy. And you can see that that was actually in the... like it's spoon feeding you what you need to do. So now I have to click on an alloy. So everywhere that I have a road connected, these have roads next to them, but they're not connected to the stockpile or the main hub. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and then watch, these little ant things will be coming out. They're not ants, but you know, see what I mean? So these guys with trucks are just hauling them from here to there. Now, they do, like, they disappear from here and just immediately pop up there. And people complain about this, and it's just like, dude, it's just representing that stuff's happening. I mean, it's not that end of the world. So it's going to fill up until this is completely gone. And then this will dissolve, and this room will be available for us to build more buildings. So our mission is actually to clear the floor. We want to get all this junk off the floor so we can build our real stuff that we really want to build.
Administrator, I have established a connection with Dolus's lead data scientist, Emma Plain.
Yeah, these people are long-winded, let me tell you. More than I am. Alright, let's see what she wants to say.
Administrator, Mr. Dolos has made it abundantly clear when it comes to security. Given the importance of the Tycoon, we must have full control over what is happening inside the station. My name is Emma Klein, Dolos' lead data scientist and member of the Marduk Council. My department have just completed final synchronization between Eden and our data treatment tool, the DLS. The DLS, or Data Listening System, is capable of scanning, recording, and parsing exchanges of any kind. The DLS programming that is a part of Eden will filter all data collected and bring to your attention only the most relevant information. It will also provide you with a condensed overview of any situations that may arise and formulate potential future outcomes.
Sorry.
It will
I thought I could
permit
look at
you
that
to
while
give
she was
direct
talking.
orders without having to go through additional unnecessary paperwork. Eden will then take care of everything via their DLS accreditation. As is often the case with tools produced by my department, I think you'll find that once you start using the DLS, you'll never be able to do without it. Oh, and before I let you go ahead and start writing history, Dr. Munchie, our lead medical expert, wanted me to bring to your attention a possible side effect of vol jumping. Whilst there is a correlation between prolonged space travel and the development of early onset dementia, he believes that a vol jump has the potential to accelerate this process, although this is yet to be proven. His recommendation is for you to immediately send any crew members that are exhibiting uncharacteristic or symptomatic behavior to an infirmary, as these facilities are equipped to treat the mind as well as the body. Remember that all of your actions and choices are being recorded by Eden. We are not affiliated with any national or even international organization. The only people that you are answerable to are those of us who sit on the Marduk Council, who represent the collective interests and ambitions of the company.
Yeah, so she's annoying.
A new request awaits your attention.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it real quick. Step 1. I'm being efficient in terms of putting this here, because I have a plan to put housing here and here. But it's not very efficient to have your alloys all the way over here when, you know, they may be needed on the other end of the map. At the end of the day, all you're doing is waiting for these little bots to move across your roads. It's not the worst thing in the world. But I just wanted to make sure you were aware that I'm putting something in a corner, which these alloys are needed everywhere. So another prevailing thought is to put them right here in the middle. So like stick it here or somewhere, so it's, or even more over here, so it's centralized to everything that's going on. I'm not a fan of doing that, but I don't have a strong argument for why you shouldn't do it either. I mean, it's just, for me, it's about, I want building efficiency, like where I place them to be efficient. I'm not as concerned about how long it takes them to move along the roads. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm playing it the best way. Okay. The other thing is, after her long-winded thing about how, you know, we only answer to the council, the council, we did get a new quest. We need a, this thing called an event appeared. This is going to happen from time to time, where events will pop up, and you have to find them, of course, because they'll be in different locations. And when you click on them, it's like there's this timer, so you have only so long to respond to the event. I do advise that you ignore events for as long as you can, but in the first, before you jump, everything's okay. So let's go ahead and do the event now. Basically, they're telling us that they need food, so we got to ensure access to food. And these are the things that, if you do these events, usually they lead to increased trust. So the people are happier. So they're telling us to place a mess hall, which prior to this we only had maintenance. We could build these two buildings and that was it. So now we can We have the ability to build a docking bay, which we already have. This was the mistake I made. Factories. This is the tech lab, so it's going to produce tech, but not the way you think. Population has crew quarters and the infirmary, and this is of course their housing, and this is like their version of a hospital. And then the thing that this quest is asking us for is they want a mess hall, so we need a place that that serves food. So as you can see, it's like a certain size, and you know, you rotate it around, whatever. I honestly don't know where to put the mess hall, to be honest with you. It's very important, of course. I don't necessarily need it to be here. Let me explain further. When you go out and you mine and you bring back resources, your cargo ships will drop off those resources here. So having this located here is actually really good, because as the resources get dropped off, all they have to do is just drive over to here. So I was just telling you this big long speech about how they have to drive to the other end of the map. If you put all your storage stuff, let's say in the direct middle, now you're driving between there and there. So you want your storage actually to be close to this docking bay. So that's one thing. The thing that these roads are just temporary. I built these roads so we can go clean off the rubble, all these resources. But after these resources are collected, I'm gonna want to like reclaim the roads and, like, you know, delete them all. So the problem I'm having is like wherever I put this mess hall, I don't necessarily want it up against these temporary roads, like this one. I don't know if that's a doable thing, but let me check something real quick, because the tech lab, as you can see, is humongous. So see there, see the road's gonna go all the way up. So the tech lab can fit there, but it won't be able to fit here. So what that tells me is I want this mess hall to fit right there on this road, but not on that road, even though it fits. I know. I'm being very complicated here. So I'm going to actually delete some of these roads, and we'll just make the road go up like this for now. And this is the part I'm concerned about. Like, I may be putting this mess hall in the worst spot possible, but I'll go ahead and put it there for now. And it'll make sense later, but basically I'm going to put all my food units that create food along this back. And the reason I put the tech base here is because the food units are just as long as the tech base, so they need the road to be here and not there. That was what I was really doing. And like I said, you gotta just play this and lose almost to get it. And we could speed up the game. So at this point, you know, maybe we should, because there's just, you know, you're just watching them clear off the resources, and then they're building this building. See, and it's going to take 40 alloys. So see how we're waiting for them to move from one end of the map to the other? That's what I mean by the delay and efficiency. If this thing was right next to them, they'd be going, you know, really fast. And at normal speed, this is how quickly they move. And right now, they're collecting resources again. So they stopped collecting resources when they needed to build this. Now, this is not finished. What they did was they put the resources there, and then that yellow worker, this guy here, see the one that was laying the roads? He's the construction worker, and he's now building the building using... So those little pallet trucks, if you will, had to drop the resources off, and then you had to wait for this construction worker to come over and actually do the construction. So you can see it's almost complete. It's right there. Now it is complete. And now they're complaining because we have no food. So we need a food stockpile. We happen to have food laying here. So we got to come over here and click on stockpile. And I'm going to make sure our food stockpile is actually right next to the mess hall. And we got one single road connected to it, which makes it good. And you can see they're coming over to deliver the alloys. and then we have to tell the stockpile we want it to be a food stockpile. And the moment we did that, they now allow us to collect the food. So I can click on that. And as you can tell, we need one for polymers, and we need one for... it looks like just polymers, so we'll go ahead and let's get that one built. I'm going to put that one here. And this one will be for polymers. So that'll allow us to collect these. And that will mean that they will start working on building our ships. Now, one thing, we don't need a mining ship for this mission, so that'll save us 20 polymers. And there's a reason I'm doing that. The science ship we for sure need, and I think the cargo ship we need.
Administrator, I have an incoming transmission from Marduk Council member Henry Bargerville.
Okay, so we finished the quest, and lo and behold, we got another long-winded...
Bonjour, Administrator. What a wonderful
these
day
are all
to embrace
council
your faith,
members, so
don't you
we,
think?
answered all
I'm
these people.
Henri Bargerville, writer, philosopher,
they
lobbyist,
all
but
of them
most of
disagree
all
with each
member
other.
of the Marduk Council. I have taken the liberty of personally arranging an exchange out of courtesy with the Oceanabe, a ship in high orbit belonging to one of our commercial allies, the Ashtongites. Even though they are a small organization, the Ashtongites are important partners who share the same pragmatic, moralistic, and spiritual outlook as we do. The Oceanabe will provide us with a source
I
of
basically
food
just agreed they
while
would all have
carrying out
houses.
the Tycoon's initial testing. By making it the first exclusive trade partner of the Tycoon, we will demonstrate to our long-term allies that Dolos wishes for them to share in our successes. Please assign a cargo ship so that we can check the trade routines. Administrator, trust in genetic connectors. Self-similar space will reveal the pattern.
Okay, so it was a long-winded message. He's telling us that we have these Ashganites that have this ship called the Urshanabi, and that they're going to give us resources and food. So you need a cargo ship to go out and get it, and that's why I was telling you we have to build a cargo ship. So we're building the science ship first, but the cargo ship will soon follow. And like I said, we want a mining ship, but we don't need it until after we jump. And those resources are better used elsewhere, which I will show you when we get a chance. But our ship here has an actual construction queue. We can construct things on the outside. And it's disabled at the moment because I need an EVA airlock. But once I get one, I can put solar panels on the outside, which will increase the amount of power that we have. And as you can see, we have 60 power. We're already over halfway used. By not building the mining ship, I will be able to build one additional solar panel, which will come in immensely helpful after we jump. And so I'm just always thinking ahead. And then after we jump, we can build the mining thing later. And now you might be asking yourself, well, why can't you just build the solar panel later? And the answer is that EVA thing that lets you do those external construction is the same thing that repairs your hull. And after we jump, we're going to have hull damage because the process of jumping causes hull damage. And it can only do one thing or the other. It can either build the solar panel or it repairs the hull. And one of the ways you lose is that your hull integrity goes to 0. And so you need it to be working on the hull. And then, because if you divert it to build a solar panel, the hull strength just keeps gradually going towards 0. So if you do this one little trick with your mining ship, you'll have that little bit extra power, and then you can build the mining ship later, because building the mining ship is done here at the docking bay, and you don't need to have... It doesn't interfere with your hull repairs, is all I'm trying to say. Alright, so we just finished our first ship, and we have a science ship called the Abyss. It is tier 1. They do gain experience points. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send the science ship to the moon. That's what these little event symbols. And if you ever are curious, it says it's waiting for a science ship. So we just click on our science ship and we tell it where we want it to go. We could go to Mars, we could go to the moon. We're going to go to the moon. And it told you, like, it would take 0.2 cycles. So it's just going to go 1, 2, you know, these little points here. And then when the cargo ship finishes, it's going to go to Urshanabi.
A science ship has arrived at its
See, our science ship
destination.
already arrived, because time is still going. When you make a cargo ship, there is high priority, medium, and low. These are all the resources you can grab with your cargo ship. So the first cargo ship is just going to fill up this slot, and you can have a whole bunch of them, as you can see. I'm just going to tell the... well, see, it's waiting until you actually build one, but you have to click on these boxes to tell it, like you can tell the cargo ship, I want you to collect alloys, top priority. All the other ones, yeah, you can collect them, but they're lower. So you get to set the priorities, and when the cargo ship has multiple of these resources floating out in space, it's going to use your priorities to determine which one it's going to go after next. Alright, our science ship already made it to the moon, so we're going to go ahead and do the event here. We have an abandoned base, and it's a UN base. The surveillance is still operational, so we're going to exploit a security vulnerability. It'll take a full cycle to do. So the science ship is going to do that. You're going to have choices. Some of them are going to be tough choices. Some of them are going to... none of the choices are good. But in this one, the choices are pretty good. Okay, so stockpile is full. In order for them to collect more of these and get rid of this stuff, I would have to build a second stockpile. And I recommend that you do that. Having more than one stockpile of alloys is never a bad idea. So I'm going to go ahead and create another one here, and I'm actually going to create a third one. And then we're going to go ahead and do that. Got to get the road to them first. So we just constructed the cargo ship, and so now we have to click on, well, actually here, Fleet Manager, and I'm going to tell the cargo ship that I want everything. I want it all, same priority. It only has one place to go. And so you can see the cargo ship is actually
A
moving
science ship team has
towards the
completed a
Urshanabi,
task.
and then he collected all the resources that are there, and now he's going to return. And you can see the returning graphics. And then after he returns, the resources are going to get dumped into the storage here. And then, of course, our little workers are picking them up and taking them and dropping them off inside of the food container. Yeah, that's how that works. Alright, and then our science ship is ready, and under notifications you can see that. So they exploited it, and we got 10 research. Now, this is the second reason people who negatively review the game screw up. I'm going to go ahead and dismantle the base. It's going to take 2 cycles to do. I'm going to pause the game real quick. Our science ship right now is dismantling the base, so that's going to take 2 cycles, as you can see here. The science ship also collects research. There's 10 units of research here. The mission we just previously did created 10 units of research, yes. But those 10 units of research are not owned by us yet. That science ship has to be doing nothing at that... like right now I have him busy doing this event. After this event ends, I gotta let the science ship stay there, and then over time, you can see right here, this ship can collect 30 science per cycle. So for 1/3 of a cycle, he's gonna collect that 10 science that's there. The scientist, until he collects that 10 science, we don't have it. And these guys that are reviewing this game, they're like, oh gosh, I click on, I want to research something, and it never researches. It's because they're being morons, and the science is sitting here out in space. The science ship has to collect those 10 science points, and then those 10 science points gets transferred to your tech lab, and then you, because it costs like 30 science to research something. So this is 1/3 of the way towards researching something right here. And we're not even done. We got Mars and we have Saturn to go to. Like, we're going to get more science points as we go through this. And so, all I'm trying to tell you is that these guys just don't know how to play the game. And so they're negatively reviewing the game, which you can argue that they're being ignorant. Because if you knew how to play the game, this would not be a point of complaint. But at the same time, you know, did the developers do anything to explain this? No. I mean, you sort of have to figure it out. I mean, you got this little tutorial thing, and that's all you got. It doesn't explain that your science ship has to stay there to collect those 10 science resources, but they do. And right now they're not collecting the 10 resources because they're busy working on the event. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and unpause, and we'll show how that works. I don't have the tech lab built yet. I have in the past always put it right here in this corner. I may continue to do that. I don't know. I gotta figure this out. Let's see. If I built the tech lab down here, or in the middle, the tech lab does not need to be in the middle. It's like if I built it here, see, I'm blocking that doorway to Sector 6. It would have been really nice if this road... See, look, I'm one off. The road connection is here and there. So I think I definitely need a road connection right here. I mean, you don't have to have a road connection, but... Oh, there we go. So see how you have these little yellow indicators? I have them all blocked. So I would like, for example, to do that, just to stay in line with this, right? So this is not clearly not going to fit there. So yeah, I'm going to just go with this is a tough decision to do right now because it's such a big building and I don't know exactly how I want to lay this out. I know for sure that this door and this door works, but when you click on road, it shows little doors here. I've never used those before, but I'm going to assume that those must work as ways of getting resources to the next area. So my logic being
has completed a task.
is I can put it down here. Just gonna go ahead and do that, and we're gonna go ahead and get that road connected to the side there. And yeah, a science ship completed its task. So you can see we gained 30 alloys and 90 more research. Okay? But pay attention. Those alloys are sitting there waiting for the cargo ship to come pick it up. We don't have them yet. The cargo ship has to come get them. And then see that 90 is already down to 85 because our science ship is now collecting that research. Look at this. We're at 17. It's accumulating. And so then, that's the reason why we need this to build. So you got all of our guys, they're coming out here with the alloys, they're going to drop them off, and I'm literally going to the other end of the universe. Or sector, not universe, but you know what I mean. And yeah, we gotta house our people. So I gotta keep that going. You can see it's getting a little inefficient here. But I think I'm gonna continue. Of course, they're not going to necessarily start on these buildings until they finish this one. So we got 56 research or science saved up now. And when this finishes, it'll use the science to research something. Now, I'll show you why the the reviewers get so thrown off and don't understand the game mechanics. I mean, I already showed you why they don't understand the game mechanics. Like, they didn't know they had to pick up science. But when this thing finishes, it'll become very obvious to you why they were getting thrown off. And you can tell when you read their review, you'll know immediately if they're just not understanding the game mechanics. And I'm getting concerned because I only have 2.4 cycles and they still haven't started. And it's because I'm making them go all the way across the map here. And you can see they're not going to stop until it gets to 75. Now I could, for example, make these high priority. And then what they'll do is they'll change their mind. And see, look, they're bing, bing, bing. So we'll go ahead and get that done. So all of our alloys are being spent. Because it's already down to 1.9 cycles. We got to get this going. And you can see the crew members are 15 of them at a time. So we have 15, 30. This is 45, 60, and that's 75. I need to house 79, so I actually have to make one more. We'll put that there. I'll make that high priority as well. And remember, that yellow construction worker has to actually finish them. All we're doing is laying down the goods. So that's why this 1.3 it's going to take a while. Alright, so our science ship collected everything. That's an important thing. You got to make sure your science ship collects everything. And now we're going to go ahead and head out to Saturn and do this series of events. Our cargo ship is doing nothing because there's nothing for him to collect at the moment. Let's see, we're running out of time. I'm at 60. And now they got this one done. Yeah, I'm running out of time. It's not the worst thing in the world, it just causes them to lose trust in you. Down to 0.3, and then he's got this last one to go. 0.2, I'm not going to have enough time. I'm literally 4 people short. Yeah, I failed.
The crew's trust in your leadership is falling.
So it dropped. But that's okay. It's not like you gain experience points or whatever. Okay, then this thing will eventually finish.
A science ship has arrived at its destination.
Alright, let's do Saturn. We're going to send a team to investigate. So this signature has been detected, but the company has not deployed any missions here, so we don't understand. So we're going to send a team to investigate. Okay, so you can see our little construction guy is going to go finish this tech center. We have 100 science built up. They put the alloys in evenly. And we could speed this up. Like, there's no reason to watch the game going this slow. It's telling us that we need a health building, so basically we need an infirmary, because if there's ever an accident, the infirmary will be helpful in dealing with that accident. So, like, where do I want to put the infirmary is the question. I think I'll put it here. So we got our food hall, our food storage, and an infirmary. That's okay. We can get them all right next to each other. Our guy is busy building the tech lab, which is a very big construction. And look at that. It's going to take up 12 power. So be mindful of that. Saturn is still busy. The tech lab, you do need to get up relatively quickly because there's research you need to get underway. I know we have the 100 points built up, but it still takes time for that research to happen. You can see we're running out of alloys here because we're cleaning up the map. So there is a limit to how much you can go bonkers before you jump, because you're going to eventually come to a point where you're not
I have an incoming transmission
getting
from
any more.
Goldsley's head of medicine, Dr. Abhinav Munshi.
I'm going to go ahead and get this started while he's talking.
Greetings, Administrator.
I'm Dr. Abhinav Munshi, Dolo's expert in compartmentalism and medicine, and a member of the Marduk Council. I'm glad to finally meet you, even in this digital manner. Your psychological test results were quite impressive. My friend and colleague, Philip Stanford, couldn't be here today, so I will take the role of introducing you to the final stages of the Vol engine integration. Before we get into that, however, we would like you to complete the testing station's exploration and enhancement capabilities. You'll then be able to begin researching the EVA airlock and assess its compatibility with the Tycoon's core systems. I hope that the work of our team will ensure that you're equipped to deal with most situations you encounter up there. Before I leave you, Stanford would like me to remind you that space is a far less fanciful and forgiving environment than science fiction would have us believe. It would be wise to remember that.
Okay, so these are all council members. Basically, they're like all our bosses. I don't know which one's more of a boss than another, but you can see like they each have their own little angle. I don't know how much of that is going to play into the game later on, but it does start to... Like, there's things that I do remember seeing later, and it's like, oh, that's Mr. Munchie, okay. You know, because I don't pay attention to the names when I'm first playing, but now it makes sense. So Saturn was just 10 research points, which we got. So now I can get my science ship moving over here to Mars. Or, you know, like Total Recall. We're going to go back to Mars. Okay. While he was jibber-jabbering, I went into the tech tree, and I chose EVA airlock as our first priority. We already have some things researched, as you can see. And that's fine. Every game you have has these researched. I honestly don't know why they did this, other than to just show you that there's some things already done. So the EVA airlock is the top priority. And then I would say insect farm is second, and then probe launcher third. You don't need the probe launcher until after you jump. The insect farm can help you immediately, and then the EVA airlock you must do before you jump. So, it's one of the things you have to do in order to be able to jump. So the EVA airlock is one of those things that will let you do the construction out here. That's what the EVA airlock is all about. And so you can see the tech completed, or at least I think it did, yes. So we have the EVA airlock, so now I'm going to go ahead and do the insect farm, which is 30. Now, I keep talking to you about how the reviewers are angry. Look at this. The tech lab produces one science every 30 cycles. 30 cycles. It takes forever. Like, this whole time we've been playing, we started at cycle 3. We just hit cycle 30. We haven't even done 30 cycles yet in this video, and I'm an hour into the recording. So these people were thinking that they have to sit here and wait hours in the game in order for one research to come out. And it takes 30, research to research something new. So that's 30 times 30, right? And so they were thinking that you have to play this game for like a week before they can research their first thing. And I can understand like how at first blush it looks like that. And it does look like it literally says it. But that's the part where when the reviewers put that in their review, you immediately know they don't know what they're talking about. They didn't actually play the game, or if they did, they didn't put much effort into it. Because like I said, when you're out here and you're collecting these science points, see look, these science points, They're going right into... I've already researched one thing, and look at this. I'm halfway towards researching the other. And the amount of time it actually takes to research is here. Like if I click on this, where does it say that? Maybe this one? Oh, right here. 1.1 cycles is all the longer I have to wait. I don't have to wait 30 cycles. I just have to wait one more cycle for it to spend the research points, the science points that I have. You have to go collect these science points, and then it uses them here. Yes, it also generates its own science points, one of them every 30 cycles. So if you've played this game for many hours, you'll eventually make one. But that's not the primary way you get them. That's the key thing to understand. And yeah, people were getting thrown off. And then here we go. We got to deploy. We're going to request additional staff from Urshanabi. And so it's telling us we can get 20 more workers. And there you go. Our cargo ship is already on the job, getting those workers for us. And I don't know why this is popping up. It seems like a bug. This has never happened to me before. There we go. We finally got it to go away. Alright. So the other thing is,
science ship
we have a new building.
at its destination.
The EVA airlock, which you can see is humongous. It could go on either side. Because it just needs to face the outside. It can't be in the middle. See how it's either one or the other. And so here I just need to change the roads. Ideally, I would like it right there. I don't really want it over on this side. I mean, I could shove it here in the corner, or even along there, but I wanted the top for a different purpose. So ideally, I would like it there. We want to maximize our space. But the problem I have is the alloys are being spent. So let's get our science ship working first, and then we'll figure this out. So we have a facility on Mars. They gave us a request. They need to get something fixed. So we can spend 10 polymers, and we're going to get research data. I think it's like a roughly 10 points of research data. Or we could say we want resources. I've always done the research data. I don't know what you get when you do the resources, but I'm going to go ahead and tell them I want resources instead. And then we're going to pick our cargo ship to go and do it. So I'm going to say yes. And so now, as part of the mission, our cargo ship's going to fly out here and deliver those resources to help them. So while that's happening, let's figure this out. And there you go. Now I can build insect farms. And the whole reason I've been saving the top is I want insect farms. Oh, hold on. See, look, my power is low. So I gotta shut these off. It's okay to build them, but we can't have them powered on. Alright. We need to build this thing. So this is in the way, these 90. I want them to harvest this 90 first. In fact, and look at this, I screwed up. Remember I told you I needed this to be one back? I did not. They fit perfectly right there. So both of these are one further back than they need to be. That's annoying. So now what you're going to see me do is I need to dismantle the building. So what they're doing is they're taking the building apart, and you get to preserve the resources that were used to make it, but they're literally carrying the resources back and storing them. And then the guy who constructed the building has to come over and deconstruct it. And I know it sounds silly, but I need every space. But they also need their mess hall, so I gotta make sure I don't mess around with them.
Has completed a task.
So what I'll do is I'm just gonna put it here, and then we're gonna build a stockpile next to them. There, and we're gonna make the stockpile food, because I need to tear this down. Let's see, I need the mess hall to get up. Our science. Look, so we got 20 polymers for that, which is good, because that was those are the same resources I was trying to save. Otherwise, we would have gotten research instead. I know this seems painful, and it is what I'm doing, but I'm moving things around because I want it to be just a slightly bit more efficient. Like here, this is not efficient. I'm wasting these spaces. I didn't think that through very well. And I may not have thought this through very well either. I got this space here, which is a little awkward. Alright, so now I'm going to dismantle this one. And what they should do... See, I don't even have a road connecting it, so I got to do that. Alright, so they cleared this out. We now need an airlock, which I'm going to put right there. I'm going to go ahead and click on these other ones. So they're taking the food out of here, they're just going to put it over in here. And of course, feed our people, which is causing unhappiness and despair. Now, the meal cycle only occurs at certain times, so the mess hall being empty was okay. And here you can see every 5 cycles. So there's a whole cycle where this thing goes all the way around and nothing happens. But every 5 times this goes around, there will be what's called a meal cycle. It'll actually show up and say the word meal somewhere here, and it'll be green. And that's when they're going to actually eat that. So that 10 food just sits there. And all it's saying with the check mark is I got enough food to feed all my people the next meal cycle. So it'll sit there until the next meal cycle happens. Alright, and then this course, we're waiting for, see, and then the crew actually missed a meal. So they're actually going to start starving if they miss their next meal. That's what this is saying. So, in all these shenanigans, I made them miss a meal. Right there, meal cycle. And you can see it's now going around. And this is the cycle where they will actually eat. And of course, I have food for them, so everything's going to be fine now. Alright, so this got destroyed. And I think the problem I have here is inefficient use of this space. So I know this stinks, but I gotta move stuff around again. I'm gonna put this guy here, and we're gonna make this a polymer one, and then we're gonna have to destroy this one. Remember, I told you the roads are temporary. And if we can get this polymer moved over... I don't know why they're not moving it over. Oh, because this is not finished yet. Alright, so I'm going to delete the unnecessary roads. As soon as this finishes, this polymer will move over. And see, this is also a problem. Like, I might have... See, I made that one too small. However, all we have to do is... We always need places to jam these in, and that fits perfectly. So we can put a house in there. Alright, so as soon as this finishes, this guy will come over and finish that one. Just, everything takes a while. And like I said, you could speed the game up, and here you can see our scientist is basically done. So I'm going to tell the scientist to move back to the moon. And we're going to...
Administrator, due to insufficient levels of electricity generation, Sector
See,
1's power demand
went
has
over.
overloaded.
on electricity.
Stanford routines recommend that you construct an external solar panel to boost overall
So I'm going to shut 2 of these down.
output.
So we're back down to 60. So even though they're storing things, there's no harm in what's being stored, but I don't have access to pull them out. I only have access to that 100 right there. And this EVA airlock, as you can see, will use 2 alloys to put 29 hull points back. But what we're going to do is some external construction, and there's 3 things to produce here. We need to attach our Vol engine, which is what one of our scientists, our council members, was telling us to do. This is what allows us to do the jumps.
Power supply
So it's a brand new
overloaded.
engine. But we're going to go ahead and get a solar panel, which you can see costs 10 polymer. It's going to give us 40 power. And then there's a panel 2 set. You can see it highlights like where they're going to appear. We're going to get that going as well. And that also costs 10 polymer. So while that construction's going on, they'll move the 10 and 10. And I must have just built something. Oh yeah, see, I built this. And I need to unpower something. So I'm going to go ahead and shut the power off on that
Power
one.
restored.
We're massively out of power, but as soon as this thing finishes its construction, we're going to have plenty of power for the rest of at least this phase. And then after we jump, we're going to have another problem with power again. So this will get us to about 150 once we build these 2 power things. And then I'll show you, because like you can see here, we had 70 of these materials, but I'm using 20 of them. So you can see it's ticking down. We used 20 of them to do our construction, and now it's going to move the rest over.
Power supply overloaded.
Man, we're running out of power again. I guess I'm going to shut off the power on that one.
Power restored.
I don't know what's using all the power. I didn't even build anything. Oh, you know what? We could have shut the power off to the infirmary. Let's do that instead. Oh, that uses the power. So here you can see they want us to connect the Vol engine and the solar panel. But remember, you don't have to be in a rush. But out here, we've done pretty much everything we can do. There's, like, we could visit these planets, but there's no event symbol for us to do anything. The reason I flew to the moon is because we eventually have to fly to the moon with our Tycoon. You don't know that yet, but if you've played it once. Alright, so we just finished our first solar panel. And you can see he's got another one that it's building, and so it's going to bring 10 more polymers. And you can see our power just now surged up to 100 available. So we can turn the power of everything back on. And then we can start turning on our insect farms. And that's the big one. Because the insect farms...
A sector is being overworked.
Ah. We need 130 workers, but we only have 99. So I gotta power off. As soon as I guess I gotta, in order to stay optimal, remember you need to stay optimal, I only have 99 workers. So to run these extra 4, I need additional workers. I thought for sure we went and got workers. Like a lot more than just 99. Okay, so we built both of the power stations, so we're at 140. Now, here's the reason, like I have 55 left. If you want to build your mining ship, that costs 20, and that would give me 35 left. If I want to build the second solar panel, it costs 15. Actually, that's enough. I can go ahead and do that. So we're going to go ahead and build that. And then this one costs 15 more, which is 30. But you know what? We did that, instead of going after research, we told Mars that we wanted resources, so they gave us 30 of these polymers, and I think that's what's giving us enough. Because I'm going to spend 30 polymers here. And I might still have enough to build the mining ship. I don't know, it needs 15 more. Yeah, I'm actually going to have enough. Because that 15 is going to put this 40 down to 25. So we can actually build our mining ship now. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we're going to be able to build level 2 power. So, like I said, in the past I took research points instead. And so, yeah, I would have a whole lot more research. So we're going to go ahead and research the probe launcher. Probe launcher is going to be a big building just like this. That's going to have to be external. I thought I had a lot more than 99 crew last time. Or 98. Maybe I'm wrong. Alright, so we got our mining ship ready. And then this is being built. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to actually delete this road here. And even though I'm not going to build it, I'm going to show, like, we need a space for a road. But if I put one here and another one there, see how we got just enough space to get a road to come down? So that's what we'll do. And these things are going to take 3 power and 5 workers each. So I'm going to have to shut them off because we can't use them. We just don't have enough workers. At this point, we have almost everything we need to jump. The only thing I have left to do, well, this solar panel is still being built, but when I come out here, I have to do this, the Vol engine. It's going to cost me 100 alloys, as you can see. That is the only quest left in order for us to finish this phase. So, I need to pause real quick, but I'll be right back.